By Rick Mias. Vertical bar. The Washington Post. Not long ago, Cassandra Casanova would plan her weeks around the NBA playoff schedule. She would wear her San Antonio Spurs gear and spend days talking about her favorite team, dissecting its postseason matchup. Not this year. I have no idea when the games are, she said. I could not care less. Casanova ignored the Spurs playoff opener over the weekend, a Game 1 loss to the Golden State Warriors in Oakland, and she said she doesn't feel as though she missed a thing. She has no problem with Kawhi Leonard, Manu Ginobili or Tony Parker. Her anger is directed solely at coach Greg Popovich. I am completely turned off. After all those years supporting the team, and now I just have no interest, she said. Popovich really messed up. Start your day with the news you need from the Bay Area and beyond. Sign up for our new Morning Report weekday newsletter. Sports fandom in 2018 can be complicated, particularly when athletes and coaches have no qualms about espousing their political views. Fans such as Casanova are the inevitable result. She feels insulted and can no longer bring herself to root for her favorite team, which is making its 21st consecutive playoff appearance. When Popovich got political, Casanova got a garbage bag and filled it with 30 or so Spurs t-shirts, banners and trinkets. It all went to Goodwill. That's how angry I got. It ruined my basketball life, she said. I took it personally. I was such a loyal fan, and he insulted me. Why would you start attacking the people who had been so loyal? For years, national politics either weren't relevant in the sports world, or sports figures made a concerted effort to steer clear. But as athletes and coaches have become increasingly vocal on political and social issues, some fans have seen their ideological loyalties at war with their sporting interests. Since the presidential campaign, Popovich has shared his disdain for Trump. He has called the United States an embarrassment to the world and the president a soulless coward and a pathological liar. The veteran coach is disgusted by comments he called xenophobic, homophobic, racist, misogynistic, and I live in a country where half the people ignored all that to elect someone. That's the scariest part of the whole thing to me, he said after the election. That's a lot to process, especially for those who considered themselves both Spurs fans and Trump supporters. While the city might lean blue, many of the surrounding communities and certainly the state as a whole are reliably conservative. While Hillary Clinton won 53.7% of the vote in Bexar County in 2016 compared with Trump's 40.4%, there are a half-dozen military bases around San Antonio and no shortage of fans who felt Popovich personally attacked them and their views. I often curse Pop for doing what he did, said Bob Mulherin, a Spurs fan for more than 25 years. He insulted more than half of the Spurs fan base, and no sign whatsoever of an apology. Mulherin watched Saturday's playoff game, but he did so alone. Spurs games were once a family affair, but his wife and son want nothing to do with the team now. It is sad that Pop basically told my wife and my son and me for that matter that we were fools for supporting Donald Trump, he said. What happens when someone calls you a fool? You avoid them. Before Monday night's playoff game, Popovich was asked about this story during a news conference. Among his comments, he said that the organization has never spoken to him about his opinions, political or otherwise. The Spurs declined to comment on any effect Popovich's comments have had on the team or its fan base, but others have noticed at least a minimal impact. Jason Minix has been around the team for 20 years and hosts the afternoon drive time show The Blitz on ESPN San Antonio radio. He said he has heard of fans canceling season tickets and sponsors bailing on the team, but many in San Antonio have become somewhat immune to Popovich's political commentary, and most of the angry callers these days want to talk about the Leonard situation or the team's uneven season. It's hard for many to just quit your love for the Spurs or any pro sports team over some specific comments from a coach or stuff that's going on with a player, he said. I think you combine the fact that the Spurs have struggled this year, I say struggled in air quotes, and I think there's just an overall level of frustration from Spurs fans that we haven't seen in over 20 years. Don Holt started following the team 20 years ago, from the inception of the Tim Duncan era, a stretch that produced 5 NBA titles. She said she's not a fair-weather fan and is hoping she'll be able to someday cheer her favorite team again. "I don't think I could desert them forever," she said. But for now, a whole portion of her wardrobe is off-limits, including about 75 shirts and Spurs-decorated jewelry, purses and shoes. Oh.